I have my Christmas onesie on and I am ready to talk about all of my winter book racks. I know this video might seem a little early for some of you guys, but you know what? I'm in the Christmas holiday mood. I'm probably going to decorate for the holidays November 1st. I normally wait until Thanksgiving, but I am just so freaking excited for the holidays this year. I think it's because I'm a first-time mom and I'm so excited to experience our first Christmas as a family of 3. And I don't know, I'm just really excited. So I wanted to put on my little Christmas onesie and talk about some books that I think are great to read in the upcoming winter season. Whether you're watching this video in real time with Halloween next week or you're watching this video in December, doesn't really matter. I think I have some great book recs for the winter season here and I'm excited to share them with you guys. I should probably categorize these books and put the romance with the romances, the thrillers with the thrillers, but you know what? I didn't do that. So all of these book recs are going to be out of order and that's okay. Just bear with me. All right, so let me start with one of my favorite thriller authors of all time, and that is Miss Alice Feeney. I have 2 of her books here. You may recognize Daisy Darker from my fall book recommendation video. I'm including Daisy Darker in my winter book recs as well, just because I think this is such a great book to read in the fall and winter. I actually read this book last December, and I got all the cozy vibes from it because I read it during a rainstorm, and it was just 10 out of 10. This is one of my 5-star reads. If you are looking for a thriller that is literally going to have you at the edge of your seat and is going to keep you guessing, definitely read Daisy Darker. It basically follows a main character, or a family I should say, that is visiting their grandmother for her 80th birthday. I believe it's her 80th birthday. Yep, 80th birthday. She lives in this house that's basically in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by water, and because there's a storm and there's high tide, they're stuck in this house during their grandmother's birthday party and they can't get out until morning. At midnight, the grandmother dies, and every hour after that, a family member is murdered. So basically, they have to figure out who's killing them off. Is it one of them, or is it someone outside the family that hates them? And they basically need to stay alive until they can get off the island in the morning. Like I said, if you are looking for a thriller that's going to have you at the edge of your seat and you won't want to put the book down, definitely read Daisy Darker. Such a great book, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous. Another book by Alice Feeney is Rock, Paper, Scissors. I don't know why that was so complicated. I cannot speak today, you guys. But this is a psychological thriller, and I feel like this is one of her more well-known books. A lot of you guys actually recommended this book to me before I even knew who Alice Feeney was. It follows a couple whose marriage is basically on the brink of ending, but they decide to take one last anniversary trip together to try to salvage their marriage. But as soon as they get to their vacation spot, they realize that things are just not as they should be. Weird things are happening, and they quickly realize that someone is out to get them, and they're both hiding secrets from one another. So throughout the book, you really don't understand what's going on. You don't know who to trust because both characters are hella unreliable. They're both lying, and like I said, they're both hiding secrets from one another that you don't really find out until like halfway or towards the end of the book. A very good thriller. I think I gave this book 4 stars. It was just a little bit more slower paced compared to Daisy Darker, but still a very good thriller. There's a snowy, wintry, cold setting, so I think this book is perfect to read in the wintertime. As you guys can see from the cover, there's like snow all over, and there's a church in the middle of nowhere surrounded by snow. So cute. I'm going to talk about 2 books that are not my favorites, but I know that these books are loved by many people, so I'm going to include it. I have The Gastlist and The Hunting Party, both by Lucy Foley. These are both thrillers, and they're kind of like murder whodunit books. Basically, throughout the whole book, you're trying to figure out who the murderer is and who the victim is. You really don't know either of those 2 things until closer to the end of the book. The reason that I'm not a fan of these is because I found that the twists were pretty predictable. These books are pretty much the same book, in my opinion. But like I said, I know that a lot of people love these books, so I'm including them. The Hunting Party revolves a New Year reunion in the remote Scottish wilderness. So it goes the beautiful one, the golden couple, the volatile one, one, the new parents, the quiet one, the city boy, the outsider. One of these friends is a murderer and one won't make it out alive. Like I said, you're trying to figure out who the murderer is and who the victim is while you're reading it. The guest list is basically the same thing, but it involves a wedding party. So you have the bride, the plus one, the best man, the wedding planner, and the bridesmaid. They all have a secret, they all have a motive, but only one is a murderer. And then I have a series that I recently read this month and I absolutely love. It has all like the magical cozy vibes, which is why I think this series is perfect to read in the winter. And that is the Caravel series. I read Caravel in September, I believe, and then I read Legendary and Finale in October, so this month. And I absolutely love this series. As a whole, this is like a 5-star series for me because the scenery, the characters were all 10 out of 10 for me. So if you didn't know, Caravel is the first book in the series. Then we have Legendary, which is the second book, and then finally we have Finale. It follows a set of characters. So it follows Tellus, Scarlet, Legend, and Julian. All these characters are basically involved in a once-in-a-year performance sort of thing. I really don't know how to explain this series all that well. Basically, there's this like once-in-a-year performance. Scarlet and Tella get sucked into this performance and they don't really know what's real and what's not, what's part of the performance, what's part of real life. And it's a YA fantasy series. Like I said, I loved all the characters. They were so fun. I love the premise. I love the world. It's just a very entertaining little fantasy read. If you're looking for a fantasy series to like sit on your couch with a blanket and a cup of tea, this is a series for you. You're going to want to read each book back to back, so you might as well go out and buy all 3 at once. Despite my horrible summary of these books, go read them. Wow, I bought a lot of Christmas books in this pile. I did not realize I bought so many Christmas books last year. Another book that I read this month was the Romcom Agenda by Jane Denker. This book revolves around 2 characters. It revolves around Leah and Eli. Eli recently went through a breakup and he's trying to revamp himself. He's basically trying to change everything about himself to win back his ex. He thinks he's in love with her, so his sister and his group of friends help him do just that. They give him like a whole makeover. They change his clothes. They teach him how to act. They show him rom-com movies so he can learn how to be a main character in his life. And then Leah enters the picture. She helps him watch some of these rom-com movies, but throughout the book, she's really adamant of the fact that she doesn't think he needs to change for anyone. Throughout the book, you see Eli start to second guess his motivations for trying to change himself, and Leah has her own struggles that she's dealing with apart from Eli. And it's just a very cozy read. It does take place in the winter time, and I love the small town vibes. It is a small town romance, in case I didn't mention that. All the side characters were so fun. This was just a super cozy read, and I felt like I was being wrapped up in a cozy blanket while I was reading this book. So I highly recommend, if you're into small town romances and cute little rom-coms, then definitely check out this book. And then another cute little book is The Doover by Lynn Painter. This one actually takes place during Valentine's Day. The main character is stuck in a time loop on Valentine's Day, and she has to figure out why she's stuck in a time loop and how to break said time loop. It's such a cute little YA romantic comedy. I normally don't like YA romances. Like, I don't mind a YA fantasy book, but for some reason I just can't get into YA romances, except those written by Lynn Painter. I love her writing. Her books are just so bubbly, so fun. You can't help but smile as you read them. So if you're looking for a cute little YA romance, definitely check out The Do-Over. And I personally love the time loop trope. I love watching movies of characters stuck in a time loop like Happy Death Day, and reading books of characters stuck in a time loop as well. So I really enjoyed this one, and the cover is so cute. Definitely recommend. I don't know why I keep saying I definitely recommend when obviously this video is a winter book recommendation video. Moving on, I have this one, House of Salt and Sour. I cannot pronounce this word for the life of me, and I always look it up and then I forget immediately after putting my phone down, so I'm sorry. But I am recommending this book by Erin A. Craig. This is a little YA fantasy, but it also has gothic horror elements. I'm recommending this book even though it wasn't my favorite, but I love the vibes and the atmosphere that it created. This book book is perfect to read on a rainy or snowy evening. You're on your couch or on your bed. You have a nice soundtrack playing on in the background. You have a cup of hot cocoa. You get the vibe. It's actually a retelling of the fairy tale, The 12 Dancing Princesses. I personally have never read that fairy tale. I can't really speak on how accurate it portrays that fairy tale. I was reading the reviews on Goodreads, and anyone who read the 12 Dancing Princesses loved this book. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much, because I didn't really get the references. It basically follows a main character named Annalie. She is one of 12 sisters. 4 of her sisters have mysteriously died. The last one especially has hit Annalie hard because it was completely random. Like, her other sisters died in circumstances that could have easily been explained, but the sister that died last, she died in a very mysterious situation, so Annalie thinks that she was murdered. Throughout the whole book, she's trying to figure out who murdered her sister and if her family's actually cursed. It does talk a lot about death, and like I said, it does have some spooky gothic horror elements. It's not super scary by any means. It is a young adult book, but if that's not your thing, then maybe skip out on this one. But if you enjoy those tropes, then I definitely recommend. Like I said, this is a perfect book to read on a stormy night. I loved the vibes in this book. The rest of the books that I have in front of me are all holiday themed books, and I didn't realize I had so many holiday books to talk about. Let's talk about 2 Jenny Hill books that I have here. Christmas at Fireside Cabins and Christmas at Silver Falls. This wasn't my favorite book, but this one was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, highly recommend. I mean, I recommend both for the best Christmas vibes because they both deliver on that front, but I personally enjoyed Christmas at Silver Falls more. Think about these books as Hallmark movies. If you enjoyed the Christmas movies on Hallmark or just Christmas movies in general, then you're going to love these books because they're basically those movies. I read these books and they made me feel like I was drinking a big cup of hot cocoa. I absolutely loved how it made me feel. I loved the settings. I loved the scenery. I love how descriptive the author was. I loved how the books revolve around Christmas miracles, about trusting each other. Small town vibes were 10 out of 10. That's basically all I'm gonna say about these books because I feel like you should go into these blind to really enjoy them. And then we have A Magical New Year Christmas by Anita Hughes. This was a 5-star read for me. I read it about 2 years ago, and I think I'm going to reread it this year because it was just perfection. I loved it so much. It follows a ghostwriter who is down on her luck. She takes a ghostwriting job because she needs the money, and the person that's paying her to ghostwrite actually pays for her to stay at the Plaza Hotel while she writes the book. While she stays there, she meets a guy who thinks she's a guest and thinks that she has all this money when she really doesn't. She kind of keeps up with his idea of her until she realizes that she needs to come clean. Then she's scared if she comes clean, will he think that she lied on purpose, or will he understand why she lied? It's just a really cute little Christmas novel. It takes place in New York, and if you haven't been to New York during the Christmas season, you need to go. Put it on your bucket list. Just go. It's absolutely gorgeous. I personally don't like New York City at all any other time during the year, but during the Christmas and holiday seasons, New York just knows how to do Christmas. You know, I feel like you get all of the Christmassy New York vibes in this book. The scenery, the setting, everything about it is 10 out of 10. Loved it so much. Okay, so next we have On Christmas Avenue by Ginny. There's a sticker on her last name. I think it's Bard. This is another book that you'll enjoy if you really like Christmas Hallmark movies. It's a super cute small town romance. You have a male main character who's a sheriff of the town. He basically is trying to keep the town afloat. He's trying to prevent the town from becoming a ghost town and from going completely bankrupt. And he's on the council who's trying to keep his town afloat alongside the mayor. The mayor happens to be his mom. His mom thinks that the only way to save the town is for a Christmas miracle to happen. So she hires a Christmas specialist of sorts. And this Christmas specialist's name is Mary. She is the complete opposite of Evan. She is completely optimistic. She believes that a Christmas parade will save the town. So she gets to work on creating this epic Christmas parade to bring in tourists, while Evan is completely against the Christmas parade idea. And at every turn, he fights her. Like I said, very cute small town Christmas romance. Then we have All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. This one revolves 2 characters, Sadie and Max. It takes place during the Christmas holiday season, and both of them are on this singing competition. They don't get along with one another, other, but they end up getting paired up together, and despite the protest, the network thinks that pairing them up together will increase the show's views, so they have to work together and sing. They also start to fake date to garner more attention, even though at first they hate each other. So if you love that fake dating trope, then you'll enjoy this one. I thought this was a really cute little holiday romance with a twist. I've never read a book that revolved around a singing competition, so I really like that element. All right, these next books, I'm going to quickly go through them because they're not my fave, but they are very popular on Book Talk, and I know that a lot of people did enjoy them, so that's basically why I'm including them, even though I didn't really enjoy them all that much. First, we have The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. This one revolves a main character named Ivy who buys an old farmhouse, and while she's cleaning said farmhouse, she comes across this box with a Santa suit, and in the Santa suit, there's a letter from a little girl. Throughout the book, she's trying to figure out who wrote the letter. The girl must now be a grown woman, but she, for some reason, is obsessed with finding the girl who wrote that letter. I didn't really think it was realistic how she was obsessed with finding the freaking author of that note. Like, I don't understand why anyone would become that obsessive, especially since it was clear that the note had been written like years ago. But she was obsessed with it, finding who wrote the note, and she comes across a resident of the small town that tries to help her. That's all I have for this one. Again, not really my favorite, but a lot of people enjoy it, and it's actually a very short book, so if you want a quick read, then this would probably be a good one. Okay, then we have One Day in December by Josie Silver. I think this one is told in alternating timelines. I don't really remember. So it starts off in 2008 and then ends in 2015, I believe. So no, 2017. So it goes from 2008 to 2017. You basically have two main characters who come across one another in a bus stop, and they feel this immediate connection with one another, but they don't interact when they first meet. Flash forward, the guy ends up dating the main character's best friend, so they kind of have to push down on their attraction, but throughout the entire time, the main character is madly in love with basically her best friend's boyfriend. If you like books that are told throughout a number of years and like the tropes that I just mentioned, then you'll probably really enjoy this one. I didn't really like it because it was very slow paced, and I didn't really get Christmassy vibes from it when I was in the mood for heavy Christmas vibes. And it took me a while to finish this book, but this is one of those books that is very popular on Book Talk and people love it. Then we have In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is another time loop romance book. The one thing I didn't like about this book was that there was a certain character that I thought the main character was going to end up with, and she didn't, and I was like, whoa, why was I just bamboozled like that? But if you really love the time loop trope, then definitely check this one out. I love Christina Lauren's writing. I feel like they have very quick, witty, funny dialogue, and the characters are always so lovable. The final book that I'm going to recommend is Something from Tiffany's by Melissa Hill. This cover is absolutely gorgeous, which is why I picked up this book, because I thought the cover was really pretty and I love Tiffany, so why not? This book takes place in New York City during the Christmas time, and it follows a main character named Ethan. Ethan's first wife passed away, and he has a daughter with his first wife, and him and his daughter go to New York City to buy an engagement ring for his new girlfriend. When they leave Tiffany's, his package is mixed up with another man's package that was also at Tiffany's at the same time on Christmas Eve. And throughout the book, Ethan is basically trying to get his engagement ring back, but then he's also trying to figure out if Vanessa is actually the woman he wants to marry. I mentioned Ethan, but there's another main character named Rachel, I believe, so you get to see Rachel and Ethan's point of view. That's all I'm going to say about this one, because I do think that you should go into this book not really knowing much. This one I found very slow, which is why I didn't really love it, but if you do like slow burns, then you'll probably enjoy that one. Those are basically all my winter book recommendations. I have a little bit of everything. I have thrillers, romance, holiday, young adult, a little bit of everything. I hope you guys can at least find one book to read during the holiday season from my pile of book racks. Let me know in the comments below any winter book recommendations of your own that I can possibly check out if I haven't read them yet. And yeah, that is really much it. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you be a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.